afternoon, guys. It's Wednesday today and it is nearly 12:30. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about sugar cravings, because it seems to be something that I am currently struggling with. Now, I've been doing some research because I need to try and work out why it is that I'm currently craving sweet stuff, like, not all day, but I mean, if it was there, if I had the option, it probably wouldn't take an awful lot of tempting for me to actually, you know, eat chocolate and things like that, and junk food that I shouldn't be eating. I mean, particularly for me, it's more in the evenings. Once I've had my dinner, once the children are in bed, when I'm just chilling out and when I'm tired, I really, really want sugary stuff. So I've gone onto a website called mybodyandsoul.com. I think it's actually an Australian website, but it's got some quite interesting stuff on there. And I just want to read a couple of things to you. I've got it up on my computer, which is why I'm looking over there rather than at you. A couple of the things that I read I found quite interesting. Now, there's a doctor that has actually looked into different types of sugar addiction, and he said that they're all triggered by different things, and according to the type that describes you best, he suggests different courses of action to try and tackle the problems. Now, the four of them are thyroid failure, yeast infection, adrenaline overload, and menopause or PMT. Now, I don't really have an issue with yeast infections, thankfully. I'm certainly not troubled with menopause and generally don't get an awful lot of PMT. So that leaves us with adrenaline overload and thyroid failure. Now, I know that I have an underactive thyroid, and I take levothyroxine to help try and regulate that. But I'll just read you the paragraphs here about thyroid failure. The signs: you're stressed, tired, and craving sweets throughout the day. All signs that indicate an underactive thyroid gland, which leads to fatigue. Tension in the muscles, which are also not getting the energy they need to function, can cause frequent headaches. That explains me, really. I'm stressed, I'm tired, I crave sweet stuff, I do have an underactive thyroid, and I do suffer tremendously with fatigue. I also carry a lot, and I mean a lot, of tension in my muscles. So they're obviously not getting the energy that they need to function either, and they can cause frequent headaches. Something which, again, I suffer with. I also suffer with migraines. So, he goes on to suggest the solution. Drink more water to help flush your system. Well, that's something that I probably should do. I don't drink enough water. Cut back from caffeine until you're on 1 cup a day, and then switch to herbal teas. Now, that for me seems like an entirely impossible task. I've already mentioned my caffeine addiction in previous videos. I would struggle to completely cut out my caffeine. I could probably have a go at reducing my caffeine intake. I don't think I could completely give it up and switch to herbal teas. I have tried herbal teas in the past, and I've yet to find one that I can actually stomach or enjoy. He goes on to say, ban processed foods and switch to whole foods such as brown bread, rice and pasta, which take longer for the body to digest, keeping blood sugar levels stable. Well, that's fair enough. I eat wholemeal bread. It also suggests getting more sleep to optimize energy levels, reduce appetite, and slash sugar cravings. Because when you are tired, you're more likely to crave sugar to generate energy artificially. I would wholeheartedly agree that more sleep would probably help me indefinitely. However, trying to get that sleep seems, again, impossible. I try my best. I try and get my body into a good sleep hygiene regime. But I still wake up feeling absolutely exhausted. So I'm not entirely sure what else I can do about that. And then we move on to the adrenaline overload. The signs of adrenaline overload are irritable when hungry, often feel stressed or dizzy when standing, suffer frequently from a sore throat, and may often be thirsty and have to urinate frequently. Once again, pretty much explains me to a T. I do get quite irritable and restless when I'm hungry. Often feel stressed, well, that's an understatement in my life. Often feel dizzy when standing. I get that quite a lot. I just put that down to my height and my low blood pressure, but it may also be to do with adrenaline. Suffer frequently from a sore throat. I do. I have quite a lot of issues with my throat. I have to drink quite frequently. Not necessarily in large quantities, but I regularly have to lubricate my throat. I seem to constantly have a dry throat. And have to urinate frequently. Well, yeah, that's come up in the recent videos too, hasn't it? I'm up during the night, but even during the day, I am nipping to the loo all the time. It says here, the problem, you could be suffering from adrenal overload. Adrenal glands pump out the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol when we're under pressure. When under constant pressure, these glands can become sluggish, so we often turn to sugar for a short burst of energy. That kind of... yeah, that makes sense. And I'm most definitely under a reasonable amount of pressure most of the time. The solution, apparently, could be to graze on small, high-protein meals throughout the day, and then it suggests nuts, cheese, or eggs. This should keep energy levels steady, making it easier to cut back on sugar. Try to reduce stress levels also. Oh, now, why didn't I think of that one? So I've been trying to work out how I can increase my protein. I note there it doesn't include meat. Now, obviously, red meat is quite high in protein. From other things that I've read, red meat doesn't seem to be the best or the healthiest source of protein. So it's suggesting nuts, cheese and eggs as very good sources of protein. Now obviously I do have eggs. I only have a small amount of cheese though, and I very rarely, if ever, have nuts, because obviously cheese is a healthy extra A on Slimming World, and nuts, I believe, can be used either as a healthy extra B option in some cases, or otherwise they have to be sent. Now, given the fact that I'm currently struggling just to stay within my sins for the day, trying to add nuts and things into that as well, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. So I'm not entirely sure what I can do, the best way to go forward. I mean, I think one of my first things that I need to do is book myself a doctor's appointment and get my bloods done again. They've not been checked for a while. My thyroid meds may need to be increased, which might help a little bit. I don't know what tests, if any, can be done to check for adrenal overload. I'm sure there probably is one that they can do. It might be worth me asking, because at least then, if I know whether they are the things that are actually causing some of my issues, then I can obviously try and do something about it. As for trying to add cheese and nuts into my daily diet, I'm not sure. With regards to cheese, the first thing that springs to mind would actually be the old Slimming World eating plans, which I know there are consultants out there that do slimming classes now that say, no, you shouldn't really mention those old plans. Slimming World have moved on and they've developed their plans, and so now the extra easy plan is what everybody follows, and that's the better option. And so don't go confusing people by talking about the red days and the green days, or the original days and the green days. Well, you know what? I did Slimming World back then when there were original days and green days, and I left just as they were adding the orange extra easy days. And I managed to lose weight on those. Now, for those of you who weren't on the plans back then, the reason that I think I found the old plan easier to follow was because it allows you to have either 1 or 2 healthy extra A options a day and 2 healthy extra Bs a day. However, it's not like extra easy where you can have as much protein and as much carb as you want. You have one and the other is restricted. So if you were having, say, bolognese, which is a perfect example to explain the old plan, if you were having a red day or an original day, you would have a big pile of the meat and the sauce and things, and you would then use one of your healthy B options to have a small amount of pasta to go with it, a measured amount of pasta to go with it. And if you were on a green day, you would have a big plate of pasta, which would make up the majority of your meal, and then you would have a small measured amount of meat that you could have as your healthy B on a green day. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but back then it was actually much easier for me to get on with. You have your carbs with a little bit of protein, or you have your protein with a little bit of carbs. And because you are restricted on one or other of those, it gives you the scope to then have more fibre and more calcium. I could then potentially have a portion of nuts every day. And I could, because you get 2 healthy extra A's, or can have 2 healthy extra A's, I could actually have my full amount of cheese every day, and have my full amount of milk, or potentially have like 1.5 helpings of cheese and my normal half a serving of milk that I usually have for my tea. And that, according to what this doctor on the website is talking about, may well help to sort out my adrenaline and cortisol levels, if that's what's causing the problem. So it's quite interesting to look at that. Yeah, nuts, cheese and eggs. Eggs always have been free on any plan. I don't think they've ever been restricted on any plan. You can eat as many eggs as you want. But cheese and nuts are obviously things that are normally measured, normally healthy extras. So I'm going to have a really good think about whether I want to look at trying to do the old plan again. If I was going to do this properly as like a scientific experiment on myself, then tomorrow when I get weighed, if I decide to do this, I could put myself back onto the old plans. Now, obviously, because I've now been back on the plan and learnt the extra easy plan, and that's what I'm used to now, I'm going to have to go back through my old books. I'm going to have to like reteach myself the old plan properly again. But if I was to do that and see if I could stick to it for, say, a couple of weeks, I was tempted to say a week, but I don't think a week would be long enough to actually notice any major changes. I would imagine your body would take a little bit longer to get used to that change. I'm not sure. But it would just be interesting not only to see if I still sustain my regular losses each week on the scales, but also to see if my energy levels increase at all, if I find that I'm less thirsty, if I'm sleeping any better, and most of all, if my cravings for sweet things actually subside any. I am not suggesting to anybody out there that's currently thinking of doing Slimming World or that is currently on Slimming World, I wouldn't advise what I am doing. I'm not saying that using the old plans is the best thing. I'm not saying they're better than the current system, because the current system works really well. And on the current system, I have lost 2 stone just recently. So it's brilliant. I'm not saying that Slimming World is wrong or bad or anything like that. I think it's fantastic, because it's the only healthy eating plan that I've ever stuck to for any amount of time, and the only one that I've actually had any major success with. So hats off to Slimming World and the creators of it. All I'm saying is that for me personally, due to my medical conditions, if you like, my medical complications and my current lifestyle, I am just interested in finding out if the old plan would actually be more suitable for me. Because, I mean, I would love to carry on doing the extra easy plan and be allowed to have extra cheese and extra nuts and things like that. I don't know how much that would hamper my weight loss though. See, I mean, that's possibly another experiment that I could carry out on myself. Again, not suggesting you guys do it. This is a big disclaimer, you know, don't do as I do. Just, if I stayed on the extra easy plan and allowed myself a handful of nuts every day and made sure that I had my full portion of cheese every day, I'm wondering whether that in itself would be enough to help with all these things that we've been talking about, without me having to go to the extreme of actually reverting back to the old plan and having to, you know, cut out carbs on a protein day and vice versa. So I've got a lot of thinking to do. These are all things that are just buzzing around in my head. My head never, ever stops spinning. It's always thinking, it's always wanting to learn, it's always worrying, it's always stressing, it never stops. And in a way, doing this vlog thing, it kind of helps, because I can actually kind of go blah, 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 and let it all come out and then get some feedback. Because otherwise I could, you know, just be sat here talking to the wall and, you know, I want to succeed. I want to carry on losing weight. I've lost 2 stone so far, and to get to my target weight, I pretty much need to lose another 5 stone ish from where I am now, and that's a long journey. It was never gonna be an overnight fix. I've not got a magic wand. I wish I did. I'm not gonna give up on Slimming World. I'm not going to give up trying to get back to a healthy, normal, kind of more socially accepted shape and size and weight. I just get easily frustrated at myself, because I know that I can follow the plan, and I know that I can stay within my sins limit for the day, and I know that I can and have lost weight following the healthy eating plan. It's just recently something is going on with me and I don't fully understand what it is, and I think that's what's frustrating me. It's not about like greed or gluttony or anything like that. I don't eat food in massive quantities. I will eat not all that much during the day. I'll have a reasonable size healthy dinner. It's just in the evening when it comes to snacking, I want something sweet, and I've not yet found anything that kind of really sort of quenches that craving. I mean, I've had jelly the last couple of nights, and that has helped to a certain extent, but again, because it's sugar-free, it's not overly sweet. And yeah, I miss chocolate. And I do try, and I do try and incorporate a bit of chocolate into my plan, into my sins, so that I'm not actually, depriving myself of it entirely. But once I've had a few sins on milk and a few sins on maybe a bit of mayo or mustard or ketchup or whatever, or something, something, sauces or whatever that I've used as part of my meals, and if I've had a protein roll to try and fill me up and keep me going during the day so that I'm not hungry, that's, while it's a healthy extra B, I have to sin the extra. I have to sin the extra 4.5 sins because they're 10.5 sins each. So yeah, that's like the majority of my sins gone already. And if I have, say, like a Cadbury's fudge or a chomp or a curly whirly or something like that, they're all sort of between 5 and 6 sins, which I can normally fit in. I normally have those sins available, but they're so small. They don't last very long. I mean, I put my chomp in the fridge last night just so that it would harden up a bit and take a little bit longer to eat, in the hope that I would, it would last a bit longer, I would enjoy it a bit more. Didn't work. I still scoffed it. It was still gone within a few minutes. I miss just having, like, a big bar of chocolate that I can just munch away at, and it gives you that kind of chocolate, lovely. Whereas you have like a fudge and you're like, is that it? It's like a couple of bites and it's gone. You barely taste it. I'm trying to be really good, and I'm trying to be pretty strict with myself. I mean, I eat way less sweet stuff now than I used to. I mean, going back to like last year, even earlier this year, I was having big bars of chocolate like every day, and having, half a packet of biscuits every day and 1 or 2 packets of crisps every day. And well, that's obviously how I ended up this fat, but at least to be able to do that sometimes, it would just be really nice. But like even the Aeros, the ones that are kind of like that big, the ones you get for like £1, I mean, they're half full of air, they're bubbles, right? Well, they're still like, I don't know, they're like best part of 500 calories. So that's what, about 25 sins for one of those Aeros. And I mean, I could make one of those disappear in minutes, but they're really nice. They're like, it's almost like I have a craving for that specific chocolate, that specific bar. That's what I want. But I can't do that every day, because that puts me way over my sins. I don't know, I could maybe let myself have one like once a week or something. Maybe on like a Thursday or Friday night or something as like a treat night. A lot of people have these kind of treat nights, cheat nights, whatever you want to call them, where they'll have pizza or chocolate or ice cream or whatever. They'll just kind of veg out for that evening or that day, or I don't know. I do that sometimes. If I like have a really, really bad hankering for like a takeaway pizza or something, I'll maybe have that like early on in my week. So for me, that would be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, one of those nights, because I weigh in on a Thursday. So if I have it Thursday or Friday, I've got like the rest of the week to try and kind of keep the rest of my sins relatively low, to try and have that sort of within my weekly sin allowance. I wish I had the answers. I wish that I could be that strict with myself that I could just say, right, well, I'm not going to have any more chocolate, and I'm not going to binge on Snacker Jacks when I wake up during the night, and I'm just going to eat healthy stuff, and I'm going to have loads of salad and vegetables and stuff like that, because you know what? Salad is not comfort food. Salad is not enjoyable. It's not even all that tasty. I'm sure there are people out there, I'm sure there's those among you who enjoy having salads and, you know, have them on a regular basis, and that's fine. That's, you know, I don't have a problem with that. But for me personally, I mean, I don't really like salad all that much. I have veggies with my dinner, with my meals. But I think I seem to go through phases with like fruit and veg and salad and stuff. I'll have some days or some weeks or whatever where there'll be constantly speed food and stuff on my plate. There'll be loads of veggies or loads of fruit or whatever. And that's great. But then I'll get other weeks where the thought of eating melon or, you know, an apple, it just seems like too much hard work. And the thought of actually eating it, the thought of the flavour of it in my mouth, actually kind of gives me the boke. I'm just like, nah, I can't, I just can't eat it. And that's not helpful when you're on Slimming World, when at least a third of your entire plate is meant to be filled with speed food. It's meant to be filled with fruit or veg or salad. So if I'm having a week where I can't even stomach the idea of eating that stuff, well, it certainly slows down my weight loss, because it's a speed food that's supposed to help you lose the weight. It is literally meant to speed up your weight loss. And that's why it's obviously pushed so heavily, because it's the best thing to eat to get the results that you want. You will still lose weight if you just have free food, but I think your weight losses would probably be lower and slower. I'm definitely rambling now. And I've just noticed how long this video is, so I'm going to have to edit it quite a lot so that it doesn't drag on for nearly an hour like yesterday's one did. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's vlog. It was the first time that I've done it whilst like running around doing my housework and cooking and putting washing on and doing God knows what. I quite enjoyed doing it, actually. I might do it again, unless people like really hate the idea. But see, when I was like bouncing around the kitchen yesterday and talking to you guys, it actually made me feel better. It gave me more motivation to get the stuff done really quickly, to get all my stuff on my to-do list done. And then the fact I was just able to ramble away to you guys while I was doing it, crack jokes, have a laugh. It made me feel good. If you like specifically something that I do or something that I talk about or whatever it is, let me know, because I'm not a mind reader and I would like to know why you guys tune in and listen to me waffle on about stuff. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up below. If you would like to see more recipe ideas, how-to videos, live cook-alongs, cleaning and organising tips and much more, then please click that subscribe button and you will be notified each time I upload a fabby new video. Until next time, my friends.